13th, 2018. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers here in Kenya and around the world. Thank you so much for choosing KTN News this morning. This is Weekend Express, and my name is Zinzi Kibiku. The latest stories at this hour. Plus, we will be having a very fun-filled show. This show specifically for today, it's all attributed to mothers, and we'll also have a fantastic spoken word artist who is coming in studio. I hope you stay with us because it's going to be one amazing show. I hope that you'll also be tweeting us at KTN News, at Zinzi_K. Use the hashtag Weekend Express in order for you to just participate and be part of this show. Again, thank you so much and welcome to the show. Now, approximately 40 people are still missing 3 days after the Solai Dam tragedy on Wednesday that has shocked the nation. Many are still in pain, not knowing the whereabouts of their loved ones. But even as the search for the missing persons continued, the Regional Commissioner Mongo Chimwaga told journalists that the process of reconciling bodies in the morgue and those reported missing is near completion. Alphas Lagat has been following this story and now reports.
Today we caught up with Rebecca Kimer, a humble lady whose life was thrown into a complete disarray when one of the Patel dams broke its banks and swept through villages, leaving a trail of death and massive destruction. Kimer could not hold back her tears as she narrates the pain of losing her mother and her cousin and not knowing where a 4-year-old child is 3 days after the tragedy.
Mimi raha yangu kubwa tu niweze kumuona akiwa hai ama akiwa amekufa, ila hali niweze kutambua kaburi ambayo nitakuwa naye nitajua ni ya mtoto, lakini si mwenye amekufa. Maana kwa saizi mtoto yote tu ambaye naona akicheka kama yeye namwangalia nikidhani ni yeye.
A team comprising of KDF soldiers, NYS and Red Cross started rescue and recovery process at 6 a.m. in the morning downstream of Barafu village through Nyandarua and Nyakinyua villages, but not a single body was recovered yet. Approximately 40 people are reportedly still missing. It is the third day that soldiers working closely with NYS as well as Red Cross have been here just trying to recover the bodies of missing persons. They've been working tirelessly today since 6 a.m. But the major hiccup that we found out is that they are missing sniffing dogs that would aid in the recovery process. Now the question is, this should have been facilitated to ensure that those missing or those bodies that are still missing should have been found. Regional Coordinator Mongo Chimwaga, however, maintains that the personnel deployed to the affected areas covering a stretch of more than 10 kilometers are capable and as such would not need sniffer dogs at this point.
They removed all this debris. All those mounds were looked into as they were moving towards the 10-kilometer stretch. So even right now, if you were to bring that sniffer dog, we have no specific point to take it to and to do what.
And today, President Uhuru Kenyatta, while launching National Tree Planting Day in Nairobi, also sent a message of condolences for those who have lost their loved ones in the horrifying tragedy.
I pray that the families of those who have lost, who we have lost, will be comforted. I pray that they will be granted the grace to bear this terrible loss and to let them know that my government will give every support in this moment of grief and difficulty so that they can rebuild their lives and livelihoods.
40 is not just a number. These are people who have been reported missing with the Red Cross desk. And for people like Rebecca Kimer, their only consolation is that the government will work around the clock until every single missing person is found, whether dead or alive. Alphas Lagat for KTN News from Nakuru County.
A protocol which sparked a dramatic scene at the launch of the National Tree Planting Day by President Uhuru Kenyatta in Nairobi yesterday. Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Nsoko had apparently been sidestepped during speeches shot up when Deputy President William Ruto was invited to address the meeting and accused organizers of attempting to sabotage him as governor of Nairobi. And as Mark Namaswa reports, order was restored and the president presided over the launch of the National Tree Planting Day, which was marked countrywide.
President Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto shoveled part of the afternoon away, planting seedlings in perhaps setting an example for fellow Kenyans to make tree planting a culture. However, at speeches time, just after CS Keriako Tobiko had spoken and Deputy President William Ruto had taken over the microphone to address the gathering, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko shot up a very unhappy man.
I think the status program is very clear. That I'm supposed.
His beef was that he was being sidestepped as governor of Nairobi, yet he was scheduled to speak at the event.
Your Excellency, the status program is very clear. After the anthem is the governor of Nairobi speaking, then invites the minister, then the deputy president, then Your Excellency. Hii mambo ya kuniandamine tafadhalini tuacheni.
And when matters cooled down, the president and his deputy highlighted the importance of planting trees as a component of their development agenda.
Our forests account for 4% of our GDP. Much of our water for domestic and industrial use comes from the towers, from Mount Kenya and the Aberdares in the east, to Mount Elgon and Mau in the west, and many other water towers across the country.
The planting of 1.8 billion trees in Kenya will create an ecosystem that is going to mitigate against climate change, the effects of climate change, provide sequestration for carbon, but more importantly, Your Excellency, it is going to mitigate the effects of the swing from severe droughts on one hand that decimate livelihoods.
In the backdrop of ongoing rains and the devastation caused by floods, the president hailed the disciplined forces, rescue teams and the Red Cross staff for their contribution. He announced a major boost for the emergency kitty.
Also announced that an extra 1 billion shillings will be made available to the Kenya Red Cross to continue its relief work, in addition to the 1.5 billion shillings.
Today's event targeted planting at least 26,000 seedlings at Moi Forces Academy alone. This just one of the steps aimed at scaling up the national tree cover from the current roughly 7% to at least 10% going forward towards 2022. Mark Namaswa, KTN News.
In other news, KANU Chairman Gideon Moi says his party fully supports the handshake deal between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga because it has lowered political temperatures, which is conducive for development. Moi urged politicians to focus on realizing delivery of the Jubilee's Big Four agenda. He was speaking in Samburu yesterday during a fundraiser that brought together leaders from ODM, ANC and KANU.
Sisi tutatambua Raila kama kiongozi wa watu. Na Kenya ilikuwa inaenda kukatika katikati. Lakini ikafika wakati Mungu akaongea na Joshua wetu, Bwana Raila Amolo Odinga. Akasema kwamba Kenya ni muhimu kuliko sisi viongozi. Tumefuata nyayo ya Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga na Uhuru Kenyatta ya handshake. Na tukasema handshake lazima ifike kila mahali. Ndio kwa maana unaona tumekaa hapa SGs watatu. Mheshimiwa Osoti akiwa Secretary General wa chama cha ANC na Mheshimiwa Nick Salat akiwa Secretary General wa chama cha KANU na Sifuna akiwa Secretary General wa chama cha ODM.
Let us concentrate kwa agenda 4. Sababu tunajua sisi zote hii agenda 4 itabadilisha maisha ya watu wetu. And I would like to urge all leaders, let's all rally behind agenda 4. Tukitimiza hiyo agenda 4, ndio tutakuwa na mengi ya kueleza wananchi ikifika wakati huo ya 2022. Naomba hii siasa ngine itakuja na itaenda. Siasa ya handshake niko hapo ndani.
Away from politics, cancer patients in Kenya requiring treatment find themselves with limited options. Some require a combination of different types of treatment aimed at providing cure or managing the cancer. In this week's Health Digest, Dr. Masikori reports on radiotherapy for cancer treatment.
Cancer is one of the leading non-communicable diseases in Kenya that causes anguish, poverty, and even death to many families in this country. Geoffrey Asango was coming in for his cancer treatment session accompanied by his wife, who has worked with him every single day, even prior to his diagnosis of cancer affecting his sinuses.
I noticed that I was losing the ability to hear from my left ear. Then, thereafter, let us say 2 months after that, I noticed also that my nostrils were blocked.
Geoffrey thought that it was just a stubborn nasal congestion or irritated sinuses.
It was becoming persistent, and after using so many drugs, with no improvement.
That is the point at which Geoffrey and the family sought to get to the bottom of that illness.
When the news just came out, the test showing that I was cancerous, I was not, I didn't feel bad.
Remove your jacket.
By the time of this interview, he was on his 3rd session of radiotherapy with 30 more to go.
Radiotherapy is the use of high-energy X-rays to treat cancer. So those rays just focus where the cancer is.
Lie on your back.
This session starts with proper planning and marking the exact region where radiation will be targeted.
We use laser beam, laser these lines, to position the patient.
This process has to be exact, leaving little room for errors.
Like, for example, I'm giving radio for the cervical cancer. What are the critical organs around there? This will include the bladder and the rectum. So we regulate the dose depending on the surrounding structures. And sometimes you find you are not able to administer adequate radiotherapy because of the surrounding normal structures.
Like any other treatment, it has side effects which depend on organs and tissues surrounding the area being radiated.
Like the head and neck that we are treating, you'll find that
Madeka,
the mouth
you asked me
dry, the throat, even swallowing, be a little bit tough.
I had heard from people, so it's a painful exercise and very, very humiliating, very painful, time-consuming.
Some actually, when they get to the machine, they think, oh, they'll feel the radiation coming through their body. But radiotherapy is painless. You cannot see it.
So how much does one session of radiotherapy cost?
From 2,000 to 10,000 Kenya shillings per session, depending on where you go.
We are doing some fundraising outside there, and we hope all will be well.
For the members of the public, you're only talking of Kenyatta National Hospital, and it's not enough. And as it is, even like Kenyatta, we need like 10 machines, and now we just have 3.
Every day there is need for radiotherapy services for cancer patients, services that will offer treatment at the fairest price. Dr. Masikori for Health Digest, KTN News.
Ford Kenya Party has set in motion the plans to merge with ANC Party in forming one political party for Western Kenya region. This was announced Saturday during their retreat in Gilgil. The party also says that it will only support the push for referendum if there is a clear and convincing need for it. Duncan Hayamba reports.
After 2 days of political soul-searching and reflection in the Rift Valley, Ford Kenya, the second oldest party in Kenya after KANU, has resolved to close shop and merge with Musalia Mudavadi's ANC party.
Ford Kenya has resolved that we start working on going to grassroots elections This one may think is contradicting the process going on with ANC. It isn't.
A move the party leader explains is aimed at getting rid of any legal barriers that may arise.
For Ford Kenya to join, work and merge with ANC, our organs of the party must be in proper legal frame.
With regard to calls for a possible referendum, Ford Kenya says the debate is premature, but they have a stand all the same.
We want to see this country moving to a parliamentary system that will be all-inclusive in terms of representation by regions, by communities.
However, they insist IEBC must be reconstituted in the shortest time possible to avoid a looming political crisis. Currently, the Wafula Chebukati Commission only has 3 commissioners remaining.
Ford Kenya wants to see a solid and independent, a democratically run and an acceptable with integrity IEBC that can oversee any electoral process, including the referendum being talked about.
The Wetangula-led party wants to leave the NASA Union after falling out with their bigger partner, ODM party. Duncan Hemba, KTN News.
Member of Parliament Otiende Omalu has been hospitalized in Kisumu after he fainted at a funeral in Elgeyo constituency, Siaya County, on Saturday. Mr. Omalu, who is 47 years old, had just addressed mourners during the burial of former Cabinet Minister Peter Oolo's sons, the late Tom Aringo, when he collapsed.
He has been in court, he has been in parliament, he has been in the constituency, and you know the work he has been doing. And I want to report to you that it's a question of exhaustion and dehydration. But as we were in the hospital, he's stable, and you know, there's no cause for alarm.
We just want to dispel the rumors that have been going around, and we want to put people at peace and let them be at peace, knowing that Daktari is fine.
The family of a 16-year-old boy in mourning after he was shot dead in Ofafa Jericho Estate in Nairobi on Friday morning, following claims by police that the teenager was involved in an armed robbery. The death of Arnold Okongo, who happens to be the son of Jericho's all-star coach Ambrose Okongo, has sparked outrage among the residents, who now claim an innocent boy was killed by police. But as KTN's Timothy Otieno reports, police remain adamant that Arnold was one among 3 suspects who terrorized residents in the Nairobi estate.
A somber mood welcomes you to this home in Ofafa, Jericho, where 16-year-old Arnold Mdanya Okongo lived. The young man, barely able to make it to high school due to inadequate funds, began working as a matatu tout in the area. A life he sustained until yesterday, when he met his untimely death. Arnold's family crying foul over the Friday morning shooting of their son by unknown police officers.
Arnold alikuwa mtoto friendly sana, alikuwa mtoto anapenda wenzake. Hata mwenzake kimkosea anaenda naomba msamaha.
Tunasikitika sana. Hatungelipenda aliyemua akajulikane na justice ichukuliwe. Tunaomba tu Mungu atuonekanie kwa hiyo laini. Ndio tuweze kurudishia Mungu shukrani. The next time watoto ambao ni innocent wasikuwa nauliwa.
But police say Arnold was anything but innocent, branding him as a suspect in many crimes witnessed within the area. In fact, police insist Arnold was caught in the act Friday morning alongside 2 others terrorizing residents.
Those gangsters, and very broadly, engaged our officers, and our officers responded very positively.
16-year-old Arnold Okongo was a frequent visitor at this particular restaurant here in Ofafa, Jericho.
This is the last place he was seen alive yesterday morning, just a few minutes after he was shot by unknown policemen. The owner of this particular restaurant, as well as many of the residents here, unwilling to speak about the incident on camera. But what most people say unanimously is that Arnold was indeed not a criminal, just a young man trying to eke out a living for himself and his family. This is the exact place that he was shot yesterday morning. A complete irony, considering it was just meters from his favorite restaurant.
Ambrose Rajoro is the only eyewitness willing to speak about the events of Friday morning. He happens to be a family friend of the Okongos, insisting police attacked an unarmed young man just having his morning breakfast.
It's a young boy of allowed 20, 22 years.
They pumped over 10 bullets on a 16-year boy claiming he's 22 years old. I want to challenge the police and the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, if they can produce anything to show that this boy was even above 18, to have even acquired an ID card. I'd like to challenge them.
A revolver was found next to Arnold's body, a fact residents claim more than meets the eye.
They put the gun, I don't know, let me just say straight, they planted the gun on the left hand. This was a right-handed boy. How then the gun on the left hand?
Hata kama kijana ni mwizi wamshike wampeleke kwa koti. Mpeleke mashtaka. Kijana hata hajaienda kotini. Hata ichukue video, hata kitambulisho hana. Sasa nashangaa hii tuko Kenya gani?
We were successful, and I'm sure now we'll be having a peaceful time within that area.
The area residents now gather in groups talking about the latest incident that has shaken them to their core, even as the family now contemplates not only burying their kin, but also filing a formal complaint about the matter to the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Now, learning in public universities will remain paralyzed after a meeting between the University Academic Staff Union, UASU, and the Varsity Council officials failed to take place. UASU was set to receive the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement counter at offer yesterday that could have possibly unlocked more than 2-month-old lecturers' strike. UASU is insisted in urging its members to intensify the strike beginning next week.
The counter-offer was given to IPCCF on Thursday, and the information reaching us is that they will not table that counter-offer until they will have amended it to suit the interests of the Vice-Chancellor as opposed to the interests of the workers.
Now, it is the university managements that do not want to end this particular strike by denying us the counter-offer and therefore not allowing negotiations to go on. And if that is the case, then let it be known that for us, as long as we do not get the counter offer to facilitate these negotiations, the strike is on. Yes. The strike continues. Yes.
Yes. They came with a condition that they wanted us to withdraw the court case. That court case is theirs. It was not ours. As we never went to court, if they want to withdraw the court case, they can go and withdraw it.
Police officers who foiled a major terrorist attack back in February were yesterday feted for their outstanding bravery in Isiolo County. The 29 officers who were awarded by the Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, for stopping a planned terror attack by Hassan in Nairobi, targeting the judiciary and government buildings. This also follows recent efforts by police and the anti-terror unit to fight crime in the country. Earlier in the week, police arrested a couple in Isili on suspicion that they were Al-Shabaab financiers. Boynet has pleaded with the police to remain vigilant, especially during the Ramadan festivals.
I came here was to commend them personally, to commend the DCC, to commend the OCPD, to commend the DAPC, to commend the senior chief who participated in that operation that led to the interdiction of those terror elements and the capture of that vehicle, that were it to pass through and reach its destination, it would have caused unimaginable devastation. We have given each one of them an award that we give officers who excel within the National Police Service. It's called the Distinguished Service Award.